This is Pre-Market Pulse, powered by Zintch, a fast, clean read on the tone of the market before the opening bell. No hype, no noise, just the signals that matter. Here's how the market is setting up this morning.
Good morning, cobbers, and welcome to the Zintch.com Pre-Market Pulse for Thursday, April 16, 2026. It happened. The S&P 500 closed above 7,000 for the first time in history yesterday, and this morning, futures are pointing slightly higher again. A week ago, the market was staring down a naval blockade and oil above $100. Today, it's setting records. That's 2026 in a nutshell. The numbers at 6:53 a.m. Eastern Time. Futures are green but barely. The market is digesting yesterday's record-setting session. Dow Futures, 48,707.00. Up 38 points, up 0.08%. S&P 500 Futures, 7,062.25. Up 1.75, up 0.02%. Nasdaq Futures, 26,390.75. Up 25.25, up 0.10%. Yesterday's close was historic. The S&P 500 finished at 7,022.95, surpassing its previous record of 6,978.60 set back in late January. The Nasdaq Composite closed at 24,016.02, also a new all-time high. Beating its October record, the Nasdaq logged its strongest 11-day run on record. The Dow was the outlier, slipping slightly as the rally was led by tech and growth names rather than blue-chip industrials. But the broader market message is clear. Risk is back on. The Iran ceasefire, week 2 and holding. The temporary ceasefire between the U.S. and Iran has entered its second week, and it's the foundation under this entire rally. Iran has presented 6 conditions for a broader deal. Pakistan, Egypt, and Turkey are actively mediating. Reports suggest the ceasefire could be extended to 45 days. In a separate but related development, Israel and Lebanon have agreed to begin direct negotiations in Washington. Another diplomatic thread that's adding to the sense that the broader Middle East situation is moving toward resolution rather than escalation. The market is treating a peace deal as a foregone conclusion. Whether that's premature remains to be seen, but for now, the bet is paying off. Oil has stabilized. After the dramatic drop from $103 to $91 earlier this week, oil has found a floor. Brent crude is trading around $95 to $96 per barrel this morning, up slightly from yesterday. WTI is near $92 to $93. The market seems to have settled on a range, high enough to reflect the ongoing blockade and geopolitical risk, but well below the panic levels of Monday. The blockade is still active. No ships have passed it, but the expectation of resumed talks is keeping a lid on prices. TSMC crushed it. AI demand is insatiable. The biggest earnings story this morning is Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company. TSMC posted a 58% jump in first quarter net profit to a record $572.5 billion new Taiwan dollars, $18.2 billion, beating expectations. Revenue hit $1.134 trillion new Taiwan dollars, $35 billion, also a record and the 4th consecutive record quarter. The driver? AI chip demand. TSMC's advanced 3nm and 5nm chips. The ones powering everything from NVIDIA's data center GPUs to Apple's latest processors, are running at full capacity. The company predicted another record quarter in Q2. This matters beyond TSMC. It validates the entire AI spending thesis. If the world's most important chipmaker is seeing insatiable demand, the AI infrastructure build-out isn't slowing down. Bank earnings sweep. Wall Street had a historic quarter. Yesterday completed the big bank earnings parade, and the results were remarkable. Bank of America, EPS of $1.11, up 25% year-over-year. The trading desk didn't have a single losing day in Q1. Not one, despite the war-driven market turmoil. Morgan Stanley, record quarter across the entire business. Net income of $5.6 billion, EPS of $3.43, beating the $3.02 estimate by 14%. Revenue surged 16% to a record $20.6 billion. Investment banking revenue soared 36%. Combined with Goldman, JP Morgan, Citigroup, and Wells Fargo earlier in the week, the message is unanimous. Volatility was a goldmine for Wall Street's trading operations. Every major bank beat estimates. Every major bank posted trading revenue gains. Retail sales. The consumer is still spending. March retail sales data released yesterday showed the 6th consecutive month of growth. Tax refunds. averaging $3,521, up 11.1% from last year, helped offset rising gas prices. The consumer is bending but not breaking. That said, the Beige Book, the Fed's regional economic survey, released yesterday painted a more cautious picture, with some districts reporting slight economic declines. The disconnect between strong retail data and softer regional activity is worth watching. The Nikkei hit an all-time high. Japan's Nikkei 225 closed at a record 59,518 today, up 2.4%. Surpassing its previous all-time high set on February 27, before the Iran war began. The index has now completely erased its 13% war-driven decline. Other Asian markets followed. Hang Seng, up 1.7% to 26,398. Shanghai Composite, up 0.7% to 4,055. Boosted by China reporting 5% GDP growth in Q1. The global rally is synchronized. Records in New York, records in Tokyo, and strong gains across Asia. What's on deck today? Weekly jobless claims. Due this morning, the labor market has been resilient. Any cracks would shift the narrative. Philadelphia Fed Manufacturing Survey. Regional manufacturing data that could confirm or contradict the Beige Book's cautious tone. Netflix earnings. Reporting after the bell. Analysts expect strong subscriber growth. The stock is up 14% year to date. The read. This is a market that has decided the war is ending. The S&P is above 7,000. The Nikkei is at all-time highs. TSMC is printing record profits on AI demand. Every major bank beat earnings. Oil has dropped $12 in 4 days. The risk is that the market has gotten ahead of itself, pricing in a peace deal that hasn't been signed, in a region where deals have a history of falling apart. But this morning, the momentum is undeniable. Futures are green, records are fresh, and the world's biggest chipmaker just told us AI demand is only accelerating. The market chose to start Thursday in record territory. That's the read in. That's your Zintch.com pre-market pulse for Thursday, April 16, 2026. Good luck, and goodbye.